Good afternoon. It is June 1st in Zone 9A in Jacksonville, and I'm going to do a quick garden tour and update. But I was working in the garden this morning, and I wanted to show what we pulled out of the garden. So starting over here, we just have a variety of peppers. I planted some mini bell peppers. I planted some guajillo peppers, jalapenos, a bunch of snacking peppers, and some jalapenos, banana peppers. So right here is the variety of banana peppers that I am growing out there. And I have some sweet bananas and some Lola banana peppers as well. And then down here, these orange peppers, I did save some seeds from the packages of the small snacking peppers that you can buy from the store. And so I don't know if, like this one right here, kind of looks like one of those snacking peppers. But I did plant a lot of seeds from my lemon spice jalapenos. So this could be a lemon spice jalapeno, or at least a couple of these. Maybe that one could be, and then the other ones might be snacking peppers. So I won't know until I eat them, but that's what we got going on there. So I think these are all mild peppers back here, bell pepper type mild snacking peppers, and then possibly one lemon spice jalapeno in here with some other snacking peppers. So over here I got the Green Dragon cucumbers, and I picked some of my tomatoes that were starting to blush. I am having a problem with army worms this year, so I've been picking my tomatoes whenever I first start to see them blush. So I've got some Chef's Choice orange back there. Not sure what these are because they haven't turned colors yet, but these are, I believe, the Amish paste tomatoes. And then I have some up here that are, I think, just regular Roma tomatoes. And then I have some more of the Chef's Choice orange. And then these right here are Brad's Atomic Grape from Baker's Creek. And then here's some more of the Chef's Choice. And then these right here are the Midnight Snack. And then this one is that Purple Rain Determinate dwarf tomato that I grew. And then I've got a few red cherries and then a few small red tomatoes. And also a few blackberries in there. And then I was clearing out an old bed that I used to have beets in, and I found some more beets. So I've got a few more red beets to do, and then I just pulled a couple of onions. So this is what the harvest is looking at, and I did cut up about 4 more of those red and orange tomatoes for lunch today and have my first bacon and tomato sandwich, and it was heavenly. So that is the harvest for today, and I will take you out in the garden to show you how the garden is looking right now. Okay, June 1st garden tour. So on this wall, I've got my rattlesnake beans and my Kentucky Wonder beans going. And then up front, I just have some lilies, some oriental lilies, spider lilies, marigolds, salvias. Here's one of my oriental lilies just finally opened. These lilies are taking forever to open up. And then right now I need to deadhead my rose. It was all bloomed out. And now I need to come out here and deadhead it so it'll bloom out again. I got more lilies down there. I planted a lot of these orientals. This is one of my spider lilies and it hasn't bloomed out yet. But I've got a lot of lilies that haven't bloomed out. And then I go into this side of the garden bed. There's my amaryllis. And then I think that these canna lilies are a hybrid from my pink lemonades that I have, which none are bloomed out right now to show you, but I have some dwarf pink lemonades next to those tall firecracker cannas, and I think these are some hybrids that came this year. And so over here I just have those big yellow marigolds, and then a lot of volunteer coleus, some more red salvia, another one of my spider lilies that haven't bloomed out, some yellow cannas, and then a bunch of red, all these red cannas, another one of my oriental lilies right here that just bloomed out. And then you can see on the ground right here all kinds of coleus that are volunteered. And then my caladiums, I have them everywhere and they are blooming out right now. You can see in this bed right here I got a lot of peace lilies and caladiums. And then you can see my sea of red firecracker. And these used to be dwarf when I first got them, probably 10 years ago. I kept them in a pot, and then when we moved over here, I started planting them out, and I have some of these really tall orange canna lilies that get super tall, and I think they kind of started breeding with them and getting taller and taller. But back to the garden. We just got through Memorial Day weekend, and this is what we're looking like. I did spend a couple of days, one whole day really, was weeding like crazy out here. So there's the beans. So on the bottom I have the golden wax bush beans, and then on the top I've got the Cherokee Wonders and the rattlesnakes. And then my onions are bulbing out here. I've been pulling out of this bed. And then my celery is still going in the front of this bed, but this morning I went and I got a few loads. You see my little cart is still sitting there of chicken house dirt from out of my chicken house, and I layered it on these beds here, and then put a layer of leaves and covered them up with this cardboard after I wet it down real good. So my goal is to keep these covered up until I'm ready to start planting fall stuff. And then going over here, I'm still clearing out this bed. I'm leaving the carrots in here for now. Gotta get past the shadows. But so that now that they can get some sunlight, they might start growing a little bit. What?
Can I go watch Stevie and the Peacock room?
Yes, you can. And there is a cucumber coming up down there. I planted cucumbers in both of these, but only that one came up. And I finally finished pulling out all the carrots that were in this bed and my grow bags and canned them up this week, or this past weekend. So over here we got some peppers. These are my poblano peppers. They haven't given me any peppers yet, but they're starting to bud and flower. And then these two file cabinet drawers have got about 5 or 6 pepper plants in there. And I think those are guajillo peppers, maybe jalapeno here and there, and the snacking peppers. And then coming around right here, I have those Purple Rain tomatoes, the dwarf purple ones. This particular container right here is not really happy, but I've got them growing in other places where they're happier and doing better. So I was going to move this tray that I had where I had emptied out transplants, this morning when I was cleaning the garden, but then looked in here and it's full of tadpoles. So frogs are good for the garden. Hopefully these aren't these hybrid white rain frogs and they're just regular toads. But I decided to leave that there. In another week or two they'll be gone and I can just dump that out. But still got some kale that is going to seed. We got a sunflower right here. And all these kale are pretty much done. I can pull them up and start planting something else in that bed. And then in here I've got a banana pepper and some more of those snacking peppers in here. And then we'll just look this way. So that's the back corner of my garden. And then in the front of this long bed, I planted some more yellow wax beans in there and some more borlato beans. And the borlato beans look like that. And I got a German green, Ruby's German green tomato plant right here. It's pretty happy. It's probably the tallest and biggest tomato plant I got in the garden. And then I got some more of those borlato beans down here. And some more lettuce, sunflower. And then right through here is where I planted the cucumbers and cantaloupes and watermelons, just a variety of them. And they have come up right through there. And then I planted some more tomato plants. I got some starts, some extra starts from my feed store, and I got the Celebrity Extra F1s and some of the Parks Whoppers. And so I planted 2 of them down here on this side of the German green. Right there, you can see one. And then the other one's hiding right there. And then I planted 2 more right here behind the melons. And then I have some Swiss chard. And then right in this little spot I have 3 okra that have come up. And then I have another okra right here that came up. And then nothing in this corner has come up. I planted some more melons right here, but they haven't come up yet. And then right here I got another tomato plant. I got the last 4 tomato plants right there. So I ended up getting 2 4-packs, one each of the Whoppers and the Celebrity. And I got some more melons that came up right there, or cucumbers, one. And then right here I got some more okra plants that have come up. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 okras right there. And then down here I just transplanted some more of the cucumbers that came up, or the melons that came up over this corner. And then right here I have got more corn, so I had more corn to compost. So this is still my compost bin. I haven't covered it up with dirt and started planting in it yet, and we'll see how that's gonna go. So behind me, still haven't planted anything right there. And I might plant some suckers from some tomato plants, but I really want to get some more pepper plants started. I've been trying to start some seeds. So in here we just got a variety of tomato plants, and none of the tags are still on them. I think there's a couple in here. One that says Kellogg's, just different ones. These are beds I had to replant. So once I replanted them, they didn't, I didn't get tags put back on them. So I've got a volunteer squash, because this was a compost bin before I got it filled up with dirt. And then I have something that came untied right here that fell over, has a squash plant on it too. Gotta tie that back up. But just more tomato plants in here. You can see all, and I've been fighting those armyworms in this bed, particularly the worst. But this morning I went and trimmed everybody up, tied everybody back up, and pruned them really good. And this bed right here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little tomato plants. And here, this bed is not particularly acting like it's super healthy. But I've been fighting armyworms in that bed as well. And then this bed's actually looking and doing better. And there's a variety of different Roma tomatoes and Amish paste and atomic grapes in here. And those are the atomic grapes right there to the left. And then there's some Roma tomatoes back there towards the bottom. And then this one right here with these green round tomatoes are celebrities. Or celebrations, one of the two. Alright, so that's that side of the garden. That's that whole side. Everything that I showed you. And then I missed that pepper planter right there, but that one has just got the Mad Hatter sweet peppers in them. That blue planter. Okay, coming around to this side, we've got some strawberries right there. This is some yellow zucchini. This whole bed had some zucchini, and this other side, and different kinds of squash, and vine borer killed all of them. So I replanted some seeds. I just poked a bunch of yellow and green and Alexandria squash and gray zucchini in there. So maybe something will come up. And then right in the middle, I just poked a sucker in there of a tomato. There's another sucker that I planted right there. And then these are just yellow started zucchini. And then this bed, I just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tomato plants. And the biggest tomato plant right there to the left was actually a volunteer, so I don't know what it is. It is just now starting to flower. So I got one. I can see a baby on that back one in the left. But other than that, we haven't got any tomatoes off of these. These were late starts. I think they were Kellogg's breakfast. From when I finally pulled out my tomatoes, I had room, and these were the last of the tomato plants that I had in my greenhouse. And so in here we have looks like some blue in there, and some Roma, and some Kellogg's breakfast. That might say Blue Beauty on them. And then in these two pepper planters, I've got, looks like mostly Mad Hatters. So these peppers, they are like a mild, like a Cubanelle type flavor of a pepper, and they're really crunchy and crisp. And every once in a while you get a mild one, but mostly they don't really have any heat to them at all. And they're really prolific, and they will turn red after they get ripe. And I've been growing these from seed. I'm not sure where I ended up with the first ones. I might have bought one from Lowe's or something like that, but for the last 5 years I've been growing them from seed, from the ones that grow in my garden. And then back there's some jalapenos, and then over here there's some serrano peppers, some more snacking peppers, and some bell peppers in this little pepper planter. And then here's my happy Swiss chard. I got some kind of volunteer squash or pumpkin growing in here. I still got some beets in there, and then I have a few of my okra. These are just Clemson spineless. I found a 4-pack at the feed store that was the only one they had, and they were about 6 inches tall, and I planted them in here. So there's 4 okra plants in here, and they say not to fertilize okra, and this is pretty fertile bed, so I'm hoping I get some okra and not just a bunch of leaves. So spinning around, this bed right here is just full of volunteer squash or pumpkins, and then I did poke a few spaghetti squash seeds in here. I did see where one of my spaghetti squash seeds came up in this little bed. I don't see it now, it's been swallowed up. But this is just basically a volunteer bed with a few spaghetti squash tucked in. And then behind that is one of my last 2 carrot beds that I'm still trying to empty and pull out. And then in the front, that's another onion bed. And then up here in the front of this, I've cleared these beds out, and I planted some different spaghetti squash and winter squash in here. I planted probably 6 different little hills in that little area right there. Spaghetti squash, Illinois squash, butternut squash, and you can see right there we got some coming up. And then so far those last 3 beds are still empty, and those 2 tires are empty, so I gotta finish clearing out those tires and get them covered up. And then right behind my little satsuma tree is my asparagus bed, which is in sore need of some pruning. So that's the half of the garden that we just went down the center. So we'll come around and look at the long beds down there. So I'll just keep walking this direction. So all of my cilantro that was growing there went to seed, and so I let it go to seed for a while so it could spread some seeds around, and then I pulled it up. I want to start some more seeds if I can in the shade. I'm gonna try to. So right there in that blank space is where all those beets were growing that I finished pulling up today, so now I can plant more stuff there. And then here is my corn. This is Cherokee White Eagle, and I think some Painted Mountain corn. And I might get a few ears off of this one. This is the only bed that really did anything, and it was dressed to begin with some chicken manure, and then I fertilized it a couple of times, but it does not get much water, so I'm not expecting a huge harvest out of this, but we'll get, something's better than nothing. And then right here, my 4 little collard plants. I'm down to 3. Well, I guess I still got one in the back right there. And I haven't really been eating off these lately, but every morning I come out here and pick collards and throw them over the fence right there to my chickens. And that really helps them with calcium and vitamins to make their eggs. And then this bed, I had this planted full of squash and cucumbers, and they all got killed by vine borer. I got one last squash right there. So I went and I put more seeds, more zucchini and yellow squash seeds in here. And down there, I put a few winter squash seeds in there as well. And then on these ends, right here on both these ends, we had a cantaloupe a couple days ago, and I just dumped all the seeds in there to see if any of them will come up. And in this bed right here, it's cleared. That little bump out bed right there is cleared. And then in this bed, I had cabbages and bunching onions. And I doubt that I think it's too hot now for the cabbages to do anything. But I'll just pull them out and feed them to the chickens. And then my onions right there are still going. In this bed right here, I had some more corn, the Cherokee White and the Painted Mountain, and I might get a couple ears out of it, but it just wasn't happy, didn't get enough water, This back area right here doesn't get that much water, so we did not get much out of the corn for that go around. Same thing with the sweet corn right here. It just made tiny ears. I was really busy when this first was coming up, so I did not get to fertilize it and water it enough to make it do anything, but we can always try again. This back bed was broccoli, which is all done, so I just need to clear this bed and get it ready for fall planting. And then this bed right here, I had this planted full of peppers last year, and I have one Mad Hatter pepper that came back, but other than that we just have a bunch of volunteer marigolds. And then this one right here is a pepper bucket, and it has some snacking peppers. You can see how many peppers are on these little plants. There's like 4 or 5 plants in here, and they're just loaded. One of these is the yellow pepper I picked today. So it's a yellow snacking pepper or a lemon spice jalapeno. And then here's rainbow carrots in this bucket here. And then this used to be my peas, and I've just been poking in some beans, some pole beans, and some winter squash on this row. And then going around, we'll just tell you about this bed right here. This bed did really good for my tomato plants last year, but this year it did not. And these ones on the end here don't get much water. I'm wondering if my sprinkler head down here, if there's some issue with it. But I've got some, looks like Chef's Choice and a Midnight Snack and an Atomic Grape growing right here. But these 3 on the end are doing fine. I'm just watering them and fertilizing them with the hose. And then all the ones that I planted through the middle, and I had to plant these twice because the freeze came and took them out. But all the ones to the middle didn't do well, and it looks like a tomato hornworm ate this one down to the ground. But the ones on this end, which is our Midnight Snack, and then there's an Atomic Grape in there too that I may have already picked all the Atomic Grape, but that one right there is an Atomic Grape. And then we have a Midnight Snack, you can see right there, growing at the end, that is doing fine. That Midnight Snack's got about 1 million little babies on there. But the tomato plant that I plant on this end right here apparently gets some morning sun, and they're always the happiest tomatoes. And then right there I got another sunflower. And then coming around, I still am filling up this bed with dirt and to cover up this mulch. And then I have a banana pepper here. I have a snacking pepper, a couple of the snacking peppers growing right here in this end. And I planted a few seeds on this end for some winter squash, but nothing else is growing right there yet. And then in this half barrel, I've got 4 plants, pepper plants, and then my blackberries, and then I have some sunflowers over there. I just started weeding this bed. I gotta do a lot of weeding in here. But I do have some pumpkins that I have planted in here. I don't know if they're Blue Bayous or Cinderellas or what they are, but there are a few pumpkin seeds that are in here that are still surviving. So we'll just backtrack. This is the back corner. I haven't planted nothing in that bed this year yet. But from the back corner, I've got nothing in this barrel here. And then these are the peas that we planted together a few days ago. These are purple hull peas and zipper cream peas. And a few cream 40s in there. But I planted them, and then I went back and my purple hulls came up, but the cream 40s really didn't come up very well. So I went and got some fresh bag of cream 40 peas and replanted this whole thing. And now it looks like we're going to get a decent stand of peas. And then down here in this other bed is we have those green dragon cucumbers and some of the yellow wax beans I planted all around the perimeter. And then looking at the tomato bed right here, I have been growing tomatoes on this vine, or this little trellis, continuously since last year. And I did spring, and then I did fall, and then I did spring again. So these aren't doing as well as the fall ones and the spring ones did last year, but they're doing okay. And then I have some midnight snack, have some Amish paste, some Romas, and some orange, Chef Choice orange in there. But they're doing okay. These army worms are killing me this spring. You can see right here these Roma tomatoes. And this one right here is supposed to be Precipice Voorhees. But they look like regular grape tomatoes to me, so I don't know. I've never grown those before. But we'll see what we get. And then in the front of these, I had planted some onions in fall. And those are the onions that are still there from fall. And then this is another one of our pea beds. We have purple whole peas in the back of this bed. And then in the front of it, all the purple whole peas had come up in the back. At least most of them. We had interplanted zipper creams and lima beans and a variety of other bush beans that we had. Walk around. And this first half did not hardly come up at all. So I've replanted, and they're still coming up with these cream 40s here. And this bed right here, I planted some Christmas limas. It's got some volunteer sunflowers, or it's got a sunflower plant right there. And it's got some volunteer sweet potatoes. And then I have planted some pole beans in here and some winter squash. All the winter squash that was in here that came up got killed by the vine borer. But there's some, I think those are some Cherokee wax bush beans. Some kind of bush bean that I planted right there. But I planted several kinds of lima bean, Christmas limas, and pole beans right up next to the fence. And I also poked some more winter squash in. So far, I don't think I see any winter squash coming up. But I did, when I was throwing out these seeds, I come across a squash seed. And I just threw it in here along with about 1 million beans. And then half my beans come up, but that one little seed that I didn't even think was going to come up came up right there. So that's some kind of squash right here in my bean bed. So that is the situation on the peas that we replanted. And that is going to be everything in the garden that we got going on. Here's a look at our little tomato beds from this angle. So it really is late for squash here, not winter squash. The winter squash don't even get going until everything else dies, and then it puts off fruit until the frost. But as far as the summer squash goes, it's really way over time. But with the weird weather that we were having this year, I figure what the hell, I got the room, might as well just keep poking seeds into the ground to see what happens with these winter squash and these summer squash. And I am trying to start some more peppers, to put some more peppers in the ground. And I have not been able to start any eggplant yet. I haven't come across any eggplant either, so I do want some eggplant. I prefer the Chinese string eggplants. I don't need a lot of those, just a couple. But hopefully soon we'll start getting some okra and some peas, shelling peas. So that is the garden on June 1st. And hopefully we can have a new update soon to show some more hauls and show some more of the canning and keep this thing going for the rest of the year until the frost. And then we'll start with cabbages and kale and all the greens again. So that's what it looks like from the middle of the garden. My grapevines have started going up that tree again, but that's an elderberry tree right there, and it is starting to bloom. But the grapevine has definitely got a lot of little baby grapes all over it. So maybe we'll get more grapes this year. Last year was the first grape harvest, so maybe we will get some more grapes pretty soon. And hopefully we'll be getting a lot more tomatoes. On camera, I'm starting to notice a lot more tomatoes that are put on that are green that are hanging here. So far by this time I've already put up several canner loads of salsa, and I've just now today ate my first tomato sandwich. So it's definitely a late year and an odd year, but we're just going to keep working at it and get as much as we can. Maybe in another month, after we see how our tomatoes are going to do and when it starts heating up even more, which it's been heating up pretty good, but it's only been raining at night, so the humidity hasn't been as bad as it usually is. So it hasn't felt like, even though it's in the 90s, we've had a breeze and it's not been humid, like 100% humidity like usual. So it doesn't feel like it's as hot as it is. So my tomatoes are still doing okay. Usually by July 1st, the tomatoes, after 4th of July, the tomatoes are usually completely done until fall. And I'm hoping I keep planting more tomato seeds. Whenever I get a rotten tomato, I just bury it in the dirt. And I hope that by fall comes around, I'll have some volunteer tomatoes that have already started themselves, because last year we grew fall tomatoes and we did really good with those, and it got us, a little bit longer on the tomato harvest. It wasn't nothing to can a lot with, but it was enough to keep us in fresh tomatoes for a few more months. So here's the garden from this view. And we've had crows. We never have crows, but this year we've had crows come out of nowhere, and they've been attacking my sunflowers after they're spent. And so they've been scattering the sunflower seeds, which so far I really haven't had but a few sunflowers that have come back on their own, volunteers. But maybe this year, with these crows slinging these seeds everywhere, maybe I'll have a lot more volunteer sunflowers that come up. Just showing what the garden looks from different angles right now. I really do enjoy watching these videos in the dead of winter and in January. December and January and February, when it's so cold and everything's in the greenhouse getting ready to come out. I enjoy seeing how green everything is. So I feel like we're about a month late on hitting, at least a month to 6 weeks late on hitting the precipice of the garden, but I hope that it's coming. It is definitely coming. We're getting a little bit bigger harvest each day, so hopefully we're still in the game, and we'll start getting those big harvests soon. Alright, well, we're getting to be about 40 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video. Try to pan around and come back to the front. Alright, you guys, well, thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a great evening, and I will be talking to you soon.